Welcome to Module 5, Section 13, where I'll finish off this course by going through some books that I would recommend reading. There are a multitude of books available on the stock market. It seems like if anybody gets a little bit of information or a little bit of knowledge or experience, they go out and they write a book. But what I found through a lot of these books is no book will have all of the answers that you need. But there might be little bits of information that not only apply to what you can use in the markets, they can also apply these things to yourself because it fits your personality. As I've stated over and over through this whole course, what works for one person may not work for another person. You have to take all the information that's out there. There is a learning curve that's involved with this, but then you have to develop that into your own personality. That's what will separate you from everybody else. As I run across books, I post these on my website as well as making videos about some of these books. Books that I suggest will help you succeed as well as understand the program that I teach. And some of these books will include Reminiscence of a Stock Operator. It was written a long time ago, and you can probably find some other videos on YouTube that discuss this book. At the time I record this, I have not made a video yet, but I plan to do that. There are some tidbits of information. It's based around the life of Jesse Livermore, who was probably one of the most famous traders, and he developed some rules over the years, one of them being watch the tape. And throughout a lot of my course, I talk about constant observation. Just understand what's going on. You may not do anything, but you're always watching anyway. And that can feed into your observation skills. You'll have a better chance of making a wise decision. Another thing that's kind of interesting that he brings out in this book is he didn't tell people what he was doing. Sometimes others could figure it out because of the volume going in and out, and they might guess wrong, but sometimes they were able to guess right. We seem to go in the opposite direction with that. Now, within my program, yes, we talk about things that are happening, but that's a private group. Those are people sharing ideas for learning experiences and for emotional experiences that they've gone through. And we discuss those and kick those back and forth. There are a lot of websites out there that provide chat rooms where you can post what you're doing, post your opinions. To me, that is the silliest thing of all. The first rule is trying to get involved in the stock market without knowing what you're really doing. And a lot of people, they still get involved anyway, thinking they do know what they're doing. Rule number 2 that will ultimately kill every individual investor is arrogance, thinking that you're right and that everybody else is wrong, or you have the answer and you know what's going to happen and you're totally convinced and you know how this is all going to work out and you will be successful. You take arrogance and ignorance together, and that's a disastrous combination. Well, in this book, Reminiscence of a Stock Operator, he deals with that. He didn't win all the time. He had a losing percentage. He would go through periods of time where he would go on losing streaks. But overall, he was very successful in what he did. Another book that deals with mental analysis, which might be your first book, because you can learn all that you want about the different parts of the market and different tools that you can use. But if you can't handle fear and greed and your own emotions, and if you think, yes, I'm logical and I have this all figured out and I have a plan, but when it really comes down to it and you're under real-time conditions, how are you going to react then? Your emotions will win if you're not very experienced, if you don't really understand what you're doing. This gives us a way to deal with a more disciplined approach when we're getting in and out of the markets. And it's an excellent book. It comes highly recommended on Amazon. And in fact, I have a whole section in one of my not-for-free classes where I go through mental analysis. I really hit this very, very hard. And I use this book as a supplemental textbook. Another book is Irrational Exuberance. And I've talked about this in a lot of different videos. Written by Robert Schiller, has a lot of good analysis tools that we can use, and takes a fresh look at things that's not so fresh now because this book is over 20 years old. This book was kind of revolutionary into how we look at certain things within the market, and they now have stood the test of time. Another one is Predicting the Markets, and this is written by Edward Yardeni. I would recommend anything that he writes. He also has a very good website at yardeni.com that I will recommend in the next video. At the time I record this, he just came out with a new book, and they're not very expensive. If you get the Kindle formats, they're $2, $3, $4, something like that. But it's packed full of good information that can really help you. Another one is A Random Walk Down Wall Street. This deals with the idea that there are not trends, that things just happen through chance. And yes, there is some truth to that, but there's also a not really sequel to this book, but an answer to this book called A Non-Random Walk Down Wall Street. Both of those books are very good, although I don't have the second one listed here. You can make a case that a period of time is spent where there's really a randomness to the market. We're just shooting all over the place. And think about that. We have lots and lots of variables. The time of day, the people that are involved, the weather, decisions that need to be made, events that are going on throughout the world. And to try to replicate something exactly in the future the way it was in the past, we can get close and we can see patterns and we can look at those things, but they'll never play out exactly the same. On the other hand, there are times when we can clearly use technical analysis to see that there are trends. We can use oscillators and different measurement tools to know when we've gone up or down too far too fast and we're looking to pull back, or we're going from an uptrend to a downtrend. And a lot of this ends up being a self-fulfilling prophecy. So yes, there is a randomness and a non-randomness at the same time. We just need to know which is which, and that's what I do every day in my analysis. If you are really interested in only index investing, a really good book written by John Bogle is The Little Book of Common Sense Investing, where he talks about getting into an index mutual fund like the S&P 500 fund that he created, or some other fund like that, and just investing in the index. Some of the things that I've taught in this course, John Bogle would vehemently disagree with, and that's fine. I don't agree with everything he says in his book either. That's what makes this great, is smart people can come together, express their views, disagree, but yet still both be successful in their own way. And then another book, if you want to get just an overview of economics, which can be pretty dry. And some of you who do study economics a little more deeply may not really like this book. It comes from a school of thought that you may not agree with. But if you want to see an overview of how things are in the economy, Economics in One Lesson is a very good book. A lot of the examples that are used are old, but true economics stands the test of time. And what was true 50 or 60 years ago is still true today. No matter how much we may be told that this time it will be different, ultimately it turns out to be the same. For those of you that are just getting started in the market, this would be a good starting point. These books are not necessarily expensive. They're not going to tell you everything you need to know. Getting in my program is not everything you need to know. And if anybody ever tells you that, they're lying. Because how can somebody tell you everything you need to know? They can help you to get to the point where you develop a skill to where you do what you need to do, but that's not necessarily everything you need to know. This is ever evolving as time goes by. As I come across new books, I will certainly share those. And as I stated earlier, a lot of these books I'll end up doing videos on as kind of a summary and review, just to give you an idea of what these books talk about more in depth. So this concludes Module 5, Section 13. And I'll finish off with Section 14.